Are we rolling?
Yes, indeed. The red light is on, so we're good to go. These little Tascums are a godsend.
You really think this is worth taking the time to do? You know nobody is going to believe it.
Perhaps, but I do. It should be documented. That's reason enough.
Where do you want to start?
Let's start with the one where we met.
Hopkinsville, 1955, if I recall correctly.
Whenever you're ready.
August 1955. I was in Kentucky, restless as ever. Started thinking that maybe working the carny circuit would be a nice change of pace, or at least give me a reason to move on up the road. I'd been turning wrenches for a few months here and there, helping out an older fella who needed a hand with the heavier work. Motors, transmissions, you know, that kind of thing. One morning at the diner, Mrs. Glennie, sweet lady, told me she had family who worked the circuit, said I should talk to them, invited me over for supper. I figured, why the hell not? So that evening I made the ride out to their farm with the top down on the Thunderbird.
The 54?
Yeah, technically a 55, but I bought it in 54.
I always loved that car. I used to ogle it every time we came to the service station.
Yeah, she was always a looker, sleek and black. So there I was, cruising through Kentucky. You know, it's really beautiful that time of year. The leaves are still strong and green. The sun's just the right kind of warm as you break out of tree cover. The air smells like earth and growing things. Convertible weather. As I got closer to the farm, the sky started to shift. The colors of dusk settling in, a wash of oranges and purples. I remember thinking it was almost too quiet. No birds singing, no crickets chirping. I turned down the gravel driveway, the tires crunching loudly. About halfway down, I saw something streak across the sky. At the time, I figured that I was lucky enough to have seen a shooting star on a pleasant evening drive. I pulled up to the farmhouse and shut the car door. That's when I noticed Elmer, I think was his name, standing on the porch. He was just staring at the sky, eyes wide. When he saw me, he waved frantically, motioning for me to hurry. Then he darted inside. I picked up the pace, thinking maybe something was wrong. As I reached the porch, I glanced back at the tree line. Thought I saw a flicker of movement, but figured it was just shadows playing tricks. I stepped inside, and Elmer slammed the door behind me. I gave him a look. "Everything all right?" I asked. He was pale as a ghost. "It's back," he whispered.
And you had no idea what he was talking about?
Not a clue. My first thought was he was into some trouble. Maybe debts, angry neighbors. I tried to lighten the mood. "What, the clap?" I joked. But he didn't even crack a smile, just rushed off to the kitchen shouting, "It's back!" Suddenly, the whole house erupted into chaos. Kids running everywhere, eyes wide with fear. The adults scrambling for firearms, checking locks on windows and doors. Mrs. Glennie came around the corner, apron still on, flour on her hands. "Did you see it?" she asked me urgently. "See what?" I managed. Before she could answer, a noise came from outside, a rustling like something moving quickly through the grass. Elmer reappeared, holding a shotgun. "Stay away from the windows," he warned. I was starting to feel the tension. "Someone want to tell me what's going on?" That's when Billy Ray, another one of the family members, burst in from the back room. "They're out there," he said, breathless. "Saw him near the shed."
Did you look outside?
I went to the window despite their warnings, pulled the curtain back just a touch. At first, I saw nothing, just the fading light over the fields. But then, there it was, a figure, small, maybe 3 feet tall. Its skin seemed to shimmer, almost metallic. Large eyes that caught the last glints of sunlight, reflecting it back in an unnatural way. It moved in a strange, jerky motion. I blinked, thinking my eyes were playing tricks.
How did it make you feel?
Uneasy, like something was fundamentally wrong. I've seen a lot in my time, Mel, but this was different. Before I could say anything, Elmer yanked me back from the window. "Told you to stay away from there," he hissed. "Easy," I said. "What's the big deal?" "They don't like being watched," he replied. Just then, a thump sounded on the roof. Everyone froze. The kids started to cry. The women hushed them, trying to keep them quiet. "What the hell is that?" I whispered. "It's those things," Elmer said. "Things. Don't know what else to call them. Goblins, aliens. Damn critters won't leave us be." Another thump, this time near the back of the house. Billy Ray cocked his rifle. "We need to scare 'em off," he said. Elmer nodded. "You take the back. I'll cover the front." I stepped forward. "Maybe I can help," I offered. Elmer eyed me skeptically. "You any good with a gun?" "I can manage." He handed me a revolver. "Be careful. They move fast."
Did you think that was a good idea?
Probably not, but I was curious. And I've never been one to back down from the unknown. We positioned ourselves near the doors. The house was eerily quiet, except for the muffled sobs of the children. Suddenly, a face appeared at the window. A grotesque visage with large, glowing eyes and a lipless mouth stretched into what might have been a grin. Elmer didn't hesitate. He fired his shotgun at the window. The blast shattered the glass, but when the smoke cleared, the creature was gone. No blood, no trace. You know Mel. I'll be damned if it didn't sound like his shot landed on something metallic. Imagine shooting an old milk pail. "Damn it," Elmer muttered. From the back of the house, another shot rang out. Billy Ray shouted, "I think I got one." We rushed to his position. "Saw it climb up the roof," he said. "Took a shot, but it just vanished."
How were you feeling at this point?
Confused. That familiar feeling was there, though. That gnawing, uneasiness in the pit of my stomach. "Stay here and keep watch," I told Billy. "I'll see if I can figure out what's going on." He reluctantly agreed. The air outside was heavy. The silence was deafening. No insects, no birds. Just nothing. I walked around the side of the house, keeping the revolver ready. The moon cast long shadows, making everything look surreal. Then I heard it. A faint humming sound, like electricity coursing through wires. I followed the sound toward the field behind the house. That's when I saw the glow. On the fence rail, a strange, unnatural light. A sickly green clinging to the wood like it had seeped out of the earth itself. "Foxfire," Elmer muttered when he joined me, shotgun in hand. "But that ain't no normal foxfire." I moved closer to the fence, squinting at the eerie glow. The fence had some kind of strange symbol burned into it. Looked almost like a circle with markings around it, but I couldn't make out much more from where I was standing. "You think it's from one of those things?" I asked. Elmer shook his head, looking pale. "I don't know what to think anymore." "Stay here," I said, stepping toward the gate. "I'll check it out." The air outside was cold now, too cold for an August night. I felt that same charge in the air, like before a storm, but no wind moved through the trees. I approached the fence slowly, revolver in hand, eyes scanning the field around me. That glow. It wasn't just light. It was pulsing, like it was alive, feeding off the wood. I leaned in to get a better look at the markings. They looked ancient, something that shouldn't be on a farm fence in the middle of nowhere, Kentucky. That's when I heard it again. A faint humming sound, like electricity in the wires. But it wasn't coming from the house. It was coming from deeper in the field. I turned and saw them again. 3 figures just beyond the fence, their large eyes catching the moonlight, reflecting it back like glass. "Who are you?" I called out. They didn't answer, just stood there, watching.